guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching a video called The World's Best Train Station. And start.
Station is my favorite train station in the world. It's everything a station should be in so many ways. A multimodal transportation hub, an iconic urban landmark, a place to shop and get the things you need, and it even has offices. And while there are so many great stations out there, from Grand Central to Shinjuku, Châtelet-Léal, and Antwerp Central, it's my view that nothing balances form and function as well as Berlin Hauptbahnhof, which manages to be awe-inspiring and human all at once. Now, Berlin's biggest station is not perfect. The bathroom situation is bad, the elevators are also bad, and you might get wet waiting for your train. But in terms of structures that physically embody the potential and the incredible technical efforts that go into public transport, I don't think anything else comes close. Hey there, if you're new here, this is RM Transit, a channel about transit and cities around the world. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. Berlin Main Station is an epic facility, sitting just north of the Spree and the Parliamentary District in central Berlin, in an area that historically has felt a bit like the middle of nowhere, but which has developed a lot since the station was built. Better yet, the transport links to the area have only been getting better every few years, further cementing the station's importance in the city. What makes Berlin Main rather unique is that it handles trains on two different perpendicular levels, with an underground part of the station serving the north-south main line tunnel, which was built at the same time as the Hauptbahnhof and serves long-distance and regional trains, and an elevated section of platform serving the Stadtbahn, an east-west elevated rail corridor that existed long before the station, and which carries every type of train, from S-Bahn all the way up to high-speed services like in the middle of Berlin.
Like this place.
The experience of entering the station at ground level is just that, an experience. From S-Bahn trains up above to long-distance ones down below, you can see almost everything, from the trains to the station structure and the various walkways, elevators, and escalators shuttling people around. There's just something so cool about standing in a huge structure and seeing trains fly through it above and below you, sort of like a skyscraper lobby filled with glass elevators.
That's very futuristic.
There are a total of 5 main levels of the station, and the level you enter on off the street is right in the middle of what can only be called a delicious transit sandwich. Since so much open space was left in the structure, you're constantly reminded of its scope and the movement of passing trains and crowds. On both sides of the station outdoors, there are large plazas, though the one to the north is a mess of scooters, bikes, people smoking, and cars picking people up. It feels pretty unfinished, and it's a bit of a disappointing exit from this most special transit station. Though I do appreciate seeing above-ground utilities because I like infrastructure. Fortunately, the plaza fronting onto the Spree is much larger and nicer to make up for it. And from the plaza, not only can you take in the scope of the station, but also the giant tower with a DB sign on it and the offices which flank either side of the main hall.
Oh my god, what is that?
Inside the station, the levels above and below ground level act as transfer concourses to connect various vertical access routes to the platforms, which each have multiple sets of escalators and elevators connecting them, as well as staircases for the lower level platforms. On the Stadtbahn level, there are 3 large platforms, with one serving frequent S-Bahn trains and 2 more serving regional and intercity services. There are actually holes punched in these platforms, so you can look down at the trains humming along in the basement many levels below, as a constant reminder of the scale of the building, but probably not a good thing if you have vertigo or a fear of heights. You've probably also noticed that the top level of the station is on a curve, and this adds to the station's coolness factor and also makes for some really nice train photography.
Yeah, it's like
now, as it turns out, there are only 4 tracks on the Stadtbahn, so the design of the top level of the station creates more platform tracks than exist on either end of it. But this is a smart design because each directional intercity and regional track headed into the station splits into 2 platform tracks. This keeps a track free should there be a problem with the train on the other track, enables easy cross-platform interchange in the same direction, since all trains using a single platform are headed in the same direction, and perhaps most elegantly, since each platform is served by a single track, this allows trains to dwell for longer on each platform face. As you can see, the top platform level, and thus the whole station, is semi-open air, and herein lies one of the issues with the station. A lack of canopies at the ends of the top-level platforms. Make sure you bring an umbrella if you're taking a long train from the upper level on a rainy day. Putting aside the trains and mobility for a moment, the middle 3 levels of the station, the ground level and what I'll call the transfer concourses above and below it to the platform levels, function like a mall. The central atrium sitting above the platforms for the north-south mainline tunnel provides the great views I mentioned earlier, as well as the vertical circulation, and each of these levels are surrounded by shops, restaurants, services, and some passenger lounges.
Oh my god, I love
Is
it.
Berlin Main Station the best example of a train station as a mall in the world? No, probably not. But it's also far from the worst, and with such great views all over the station, I never find the need to plonk down at a cafe to kill time. And to be clear, it's not just cafes. There are actually a lot of retail options and services like car rentals, though why you'd rent a car here of all places is beyond me.
It's weird,
Heading
but
down
sure.
to the lower level, there's still a sense of scale, but it shifts from vertical to horizontal with a long open cavern which sits around the giant island platforms connected to the north-south mainline tunnel. One really cool thing is that this station acknowledges how awesome it is, and there is a model of the station in the station, which probably also has its own mini model of the station.
It's a miniature!
From this level, you also have the connection to the U-Bahn, which is great. Simply walk across through a short tunnel and drop down onto the platform. And thanks to the semi-recent U5 extension, you can get to a ton of different places in the city pretty easily. Better yet, you can also get to the trams and the station's bus terminal without crossing the street, using the same underground concourse which connects to the U-Bahn, which is very nice and thoughtful planning.
Yeah.
This allows trams to remain at street level, serving a normal, if fancier and larger than usual tram stop with stairs directly into the station. Now, as I've said before, Berlin Hauptbahnhof is not without problems, even if I think they're more annoyances than fatal flaws.
Yeah, what are the
transfer
problems?
between levels, particularly top and bottom, does feel long, though in practice it's all escalators, so the actual distance isn't too bad, and there are a lot of escalators too, so I wouldn't be worried about having to climb. However, the unique circular elevators are painfully slow, and so you basically would never use them unless you have to. Worse still, the design takes up enough space that you could probably fit 2 conventional elevators in the same profile if the design had tried to be a little less form over function.
Because it looks nice.
Space. There's quite a bit of it on the platforms, but within the station, a lot of the other walkways are narrow because of the vertical space for the openings on one side or the shops on the other. This also means that there just aren't a ton of places for people to actually dwell that isn't a platform, which people generally didn't appear to be doing. I'll also say that the bus terminal, if I can call it that, across the street from the station, and the whole north frontage that I mentioned earlier leave a lot to be desired, and feel a lot like a parking lot-shaped stain on what is otherwise a super impressive facility. The last feature that bothers me is the bathrooms, or lack thereof. My complaint can be summarized as such. Big station, 1 bathroom, costs money, fare gates, very silly. Check out my recent Substack article for the full rant. It's free to subscribe and well worth your time. With my minor quibbles out of the way, from the lowest level we can descend to the last set of platforms, of which there are 4 islands, each connected to one of the 4 tracks on the north-south mainline in the same way as on the top level of the station, with each track fanning to serve both sides of an island platform at the station. The platforms themselves are epic, super wide, super long, and straight, with more vertical circulation and better passenger flow than those on the top level, truly allowing huge numbers of people to wait along the platform for trains and change between different services, reflecting them being built in coordination with the tunnel. Heading back up, you can actually see the next big project in upgrading the station after the recent extension of the tram line serving it to the west. This is where the future second north-south S-Bahn tunnel will be, just beyond the current U-Bahn platform, and construction is well underway. This project will be incredibly useful because otherwise going north or south from here means trying to grab some random regional or IC train, and they aren't all from the same platform or arriving at the same frequency as those on the S-Bahn. So with our tour complete, what makes this station so great? Well, for one, it manages to pack a ton of uses into a station site in a very elegant way. From shops to offices and services, and the larger district around the station has tons more offices, residential apartments, and a bunch of hotels. The station is also a great example of an integrated transport hub. While yes, it is a bit of a walk from say the top level of the station to the tram stop, the distance actually isn't that great and the walk is basically entirely protected from the weather. It's a lot better than many stations out there. It's also a station which was planned for good train operations, and while it's not perfect, I have seen far, far worse. In large part, it feels like Berlin Main Station is a victim of its own success, with so many people using the station and interchanging here. What's good is that all of the space in the station means that most of the problems with it can be fixed. New washrooms can be added, more links could be built to platforms, and more weather protection could also be provided. But in the meantime, the station remains my favorite in the world, and an absolute must-see for anyone who likes cities or transportation. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so I kind of wasn't expecting it to be Germany, but it makes sense that it's like, well, yeah, I think they're known, like, I think in Germany, you know, the architecture and the infrastructure tends to be good, so I'm not super surprised that it's in Germany and in Berlin. But I loved it. I think it was very nice. I don't know what I was expecting this when I think of like a train station. I think usually they're, you know, like the platforms are usually like out in the open, and this one, it literally looks like a shopping mall. It looks like a shopping center, a shopping mall. I think it's just like the way it's built, you know, with the corridors and the stores to the sides, and obviously the escalators. It just looks like a mall. But, you know, but so trippy and random that you just see, like, imagine you're in a mall and then you're seeing like a train pass you like this in the upper level. Like, that's crazy. And it looks like, I don't know, it looks very futuristic, very sci-fi. Like when those, like, I don't know, like in sci-fi shows and stuff, when you're like, and you can see like I don't know, like there's like the flying like trains. It looks something, I don't know, it looks so weird, and that reminds me of this because it's gonna be very trippy. Also, I think a little scary maybe if you're because it's just like you're walking and you're just walking, you know, in I don't know, you're just like eating, grabbing a bite, waiting for your train, and then you like see a train pass you by, and it's gonna be weird. It's like I think this thing like can fall on top of me, and like that's it. Then maybe people do not. It's not that it doesn't, like, when you're there you're not thinking about this, but I'm definitely thinking about it when I'm seeing the video. I'm like, oh my god, I like it because it looks very cool, but at the same time it's a little scary. I'm not gonna lie. Low-key, like, the thing is gonna fall on top of me, but it is very, like, visually, I think it's striking. I love the little, like, the circular that looks, yeah, the circle. I think it was like the upper level, like the most, or was it? I don't remember. The thing was just like, it was like this semicircle in glass. I loved it with all those like metal beams, plus, you know, it's obviously see-through and you can see everything. I loved it. But from when you're looking at it from the outside, it looks like a hangar, like where they keep the planes. I think they're the same, you know. I think it's definitely the same structure. It's like, again, it's like a circular thing and like a flat platform. It looks like that, and I'm wondering if that was part of the design choice, and also like, or maybe it's because of that. Like, there is not, like, usually, like, it's a train station. I don't think there's a lot of things that you can do because obviously it needs to be operational. So, you know, the priority is to have like actual train tracks and trains, you know, that can pass through. But I don't know why it's so similar to like an airplane hangar. Actually, I don't know, maybe that was a design choice, and it's not just extremely, like, it's not just functional. It was just because I know the architect disliked it, and I know they thought it looks cool. But I love also the fact that when you're looking at it from the outside, there's like this weird tower that apparently it has offices, but I'm a little bit unclear on whether or not the offices are like the train station like officers for, you know, employees and people that work there, or they're just like separate like this businesses that have that's where they happen to have their offices. But it looks very cool. It looks, again, it's like a lot of, like, everything see-through and sort of like glass and a lot of metal. So it looks very futuristic. It looks very modern. I loved it. Also, I really like the trains because the trains look like buses. It's kind of weird, but they do look like buses. I think it's just like the design of them. I don't know if all of them are like that, but if you're looking at it from like what they didn't really got to see like an amazing look because it was quite quick, like the clip. But it looked like literally a bus. I don't know, like the shape is just exactly like a bus, so it's kind of like a little weird to just see like the train track. But I like the fact that it's very, again, it's very like you can do a lot of things and you can just hang out. Although he did mention, and you know, there's like food options, restaurants, and also you can like rent a car. You don't never know when you're going to need it, and you're in it. Actually, he does say it's weird, but I do not think that's weird, because if you're coming from another city, or you're coming from another country, maybe you do want to rent a car, like I want to get to this train station and then I want to get around with a car. So it is actually quite helpful to have, you know, a car rental office, you know, right there, because you don't need to like get somewhere else. You know, I'm getting to Berlin and then I have to like go and like and pick up my car somewhere else. It's like, no, the car is there. So actually I think that's very useful. But and then apparently there's also a lot of like shopping options, not just like grab a bite to eat, just actual like shops, which I think it's great. But I do think it's funny that he was like, well, and it makes it look more like a mall, but he's like, no, you know, like, it's not perfect. And, you know, like the escalators, they are like, you can feel like you're wasting time, but it's like, have you seen, like, this place is huge. Like, obviously there's gonna be a lot of escalators, and it's gonna maybe if you're walking in it, you're gonna feel like this place is very big, and well, you're saving time, so you're taking the escalator, and maybe you're feeling like this moves so slow. And I was thinking maybe it's not the distance, it's just that the escalators are set in like, because it has different speeds, and maybe that they're very slow. But again, makes sense, because again, you want to pick up more the greatest amount of people, because it must be very popular. He does mention it is very popular. It's a very popular train station. So you obviously need to demand, like, there's a lot of demand. There's a lot of people here, and obviously you want as many people to actually get in the escalator, and that's why you would feel like, oh my god, like this is running so slow. And also I love the actual, the like this elevators, like they're great. They're like glass, and I don't know, they're very pretty. I love that. And they're circular, and it was like, well, again, they're kind of pointless. Like, it would just like, they're pointless in the sense of like, they're not as useful, and something else would have been more useful. But I like the fact that, it's like, it's beautiful, because it's like, it's glass and it's 360, just a 360 view. So obviously you get to see and appreciate like the whole train station. So it's very cool. And I like it's more like a touristy attraction, and not just, a train station, like a plain train station. I like the fact that it really does look like you're visiting somewhere, and it's like, oh yeah, you want to take pictures and you want to just hang around, when technically, a train station is for you to like pass through and like be here, wait, and then bye, leave. But it's like, no, it actually looks like a nice like touristy attraction. So, kudos to them. Bye.